stumble on something important.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what you guys would say, right? So.
Well, we were playing a lot. It was a cruise for all our fans, and we were playing like around the clock, late into the evening, and then we were out in the sea air, and I think pretty much everyone lost their voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it a lot of fun, though? It must have been a lot of fun.
It was great.
And Guster was there, too, I heard?
Yeah, Guster was there.
One of my all-time favorite bands. And I'm so happy that you guys gave him a shout-out on the hour. I love that. So, it's awesome, yeah.
Good.
How'd you guys hook up with Guster for the first time? How'd you guys meet each other?
We met Guster in, I think, 1994.
Very early on, when they were just
like Parachute era kind of stuff.
Yeah, they were just called Gus.
Oh, at that time. Way back, demo tapes.
And Andy actually had a sticker on his congas.
Oh, yeah?
The Gus sticker.
Yeah, they opened for us at Colgate College in upstate New York, I think about 94.
Then we ran into him again in the Horde tour.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I remember they opened for us at Harbor Lights in Boston. And Seymour Stein, the president of Sire, we were no longer on Sire, but he flew up to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And he grabbed me and said, "What do you think of these guys? Should I sign them?" I said, "Yeah, they're great. They're fun." And I didn't really know them that well. I mean, kind of liked them.
Yeah.
And we saw them on the Horde tour and kind of liked them. And then
they had that record.
Yeah.
Which I forget the name of the record.
Lost and Gone Forever.
It was
That's
just
probably my favorite.
So, it took us over the top with them. Like, we just have huge respect for what they're doing. And
I remember
a huge respect for Brian's hands.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
they must get sore.
Yeah, that poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Ryan gave me a copy of Lost and Gone Forever when we did a show with them at the Orpheum in Boston. I went back to my hotel room after sound check, and I was like, holy crap. I listened to the record, and I was like, I love this.
You guys have arrived.
So then they opened for us on the whole, whatever that was, a Maroon tour, maybe?
Mm.
Was that Maroon?
Yeah, I think so.
Not in Canada, though, unfortunately.
No, just in the
The
US.
Flashing Lights were good, though. I like them.
They were good.
Oh,
Are they together anymore? What's going on with them? Do you know?
No, they're not together. No. I mean, what's his name? Matt Murphy was in that movie.
That movie, something crazy, long title.
Yeah, the Guy Terrifico.
Yeah, that's right.
And I heard that he's trying to get the Super Friends back together, his old band.
Oh, okay.
Steve Pitkin, who's our friend, who's the drummer, is now in Elliott Brood.
Oh, okay.
Really well
they got a new record coming out, too, I think.
Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk about your new record. 2 CDs come out at different times. How'd you guys choose songs for each record? Was it kind of like, we'll put the best up first and second one second kind of thing? Or?
I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a lot of favorites that I have. Like on the second record.
But you don't write anything on the second record.
What's that?
None of your songs are on the second record.
Well, I have one song. It's on the first record.
I love that tune.
Oh, thanks.
Peterborough, it's an awesome
People
song.
are in the chorus. It's funny. I think we just tried to match them up, how they related, how they worked as a whole. So, oops, that's not what you do at interviews. You don't bring your cell phone.
We can stop. You can answer it if you want.
I'll just turn it off there.
Okay. That's very kind of you.
Sorry, honey. I think we wanted to make the 2 records work as 2 separate entities, like albums that, as you listen through them through once, it worked together. So I think that's how we put it together, as best I can tell.
Yeah, it's kind of, for me, in a sense, like I think they're both satisfying records to listen to, but I think when we were putting this together, I couldn't get my head out of the fact that it was all one record anyways.
Mm-hmm. What made you decide to put them out at different times then?
A double album at retail,
really
expensive. And that was the biggest thing, was we didn't want to give people the excuse to put it down. And, a $25 CD or whatever it's going to end up being as a double album, it's just enough of an excuse.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest as well. And we didn't want any of the songs to get lost in a double record.
Fair enough.
So we decided to give them a little more weight and put them on separate records, smaller records.
My sense is that fans who buy music online are a little more focused on trying to sort through it all and maybe making their own playlists. And also there's a sense that a lot of people listen to stuff on random play as well, so they don't listen to the whole record as whole as much. Or they're really obsessive fans, so of course they're going to listen to every song inside out. Where people who buy CDs exclusively tend to be more like they want something to put in the car on the way to work, and a CD should be the length of your drive to work, essentially.
Yeah.
And beyond that, there's all kinds of stuff that gets lost that you don't hear, and we didn't want people to not hear anything.
Are you playing everything live on this tour? Probably not everything.
Sorting through it.
Yeah. So slowly sorting through it, we have a few tunes that we want to get out there amongst our older hits, so we're sort of filtering them in.
How do you guys choose a set list?
About half of it is the same every night, and about the other half we mix it up. On this Canadian tour, I think we're trying to be a little bit more hits focused, just because people have a certain expectation. I think because we have such a long history here in Canada and a lot of hits, you look in the audience after a show and they're like, "What? No Jane?" They're like, "Sorry, we can only play so many songs. We want to play the new record too.
Yeah.
We also want to play album tracks from the other albums. It doesn't all have to be just the hits, but it's hard to get that all done, you know."
Yeah, well, I mean, people have heard Jane. I mean, if they're going to come see you now, they've probably seen you a few times at this point.
Yeah, but the thing about favorite songs, though, is that like favorite songs evoke for the audience something they don't evoke for us, right? For them, it's all kinds of memories that go along with those songs. For us, it's just another one of our songs, in a sense.
Yeah, well, like, when we play $1 Million, I feel like I'm going on someone's grade 8 band trip sometimes, because they're like, "This is the song, remember last summer?"
Nice. Go through a couple of songs on the new record. Let's talk with Sound of Your Voice. Kevin was supposed to sing it originally, but I heard the manager didn't like it. What happened? I mean, there's a story behind it, right?
I think he liked it. I think his sense was he thought it could be a single if it had a more dramatic vocal. I mean, I love Kev's vocals, and I felt weird about taking a song that he wrote. But there's other songs like that as well, like Celebrity and Shopping and Adrift that Ed sings were mostly Kevin's songs that we collaborated with him on and changed a bit, but this was exclusively a Kev song, and I think because it had a certain kind of Queen element to it,
very much so, yeah,
that we just thought that my more dramatic voice might be a little more Freddie.
Mm-hmm. You trying to be Freddie in the song when you're singing it?
Try not to be too Freddie.
Yeah, fair enough. Is it hard to pull off those harmonies live?
No, not. We actually. They become second nature after a few tours, so
it doesn't sound as big as it sounds on the record.
Oh, okay.
We actually layered the vocals. Like there's like 80 in total.
Wow.
80 voices in there. So we were trying to go for that big Queen sound, but live it still sounds full.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to hear it tonight. Yeah. Wind It Up. Kim Mitchell plays on it. How'd you guys hook up with him? Why did you choose him out of anyone to play on that tune specifically?
Well, I think that like when I first heard Wind It Up, I said to Ed, this is where you live. This is where you come from. Ed was a huge Max Webster fan and still is, and when we played the song, it couldn't get away from Max Webster and Kim Mitchell's sound. So Ed had worked with Kim Mitchell a little bit and then previously songwriting for his record, and he asked him, "Hey, would you like to blow a solo over this?" And so he went in with a camcorder and recorded the whole thing.
Oh, cool!
Home movie style, and did it about 10 tracks.
Wow!
And it was just Kim Mitchell sounding like Kim Mitchell all over the song.
Do you guys listen to him Q on the time?
He's good on the Q.
Yeah, he's all right.
I enjoy listening to it. He's laid back. He's not too much of a radio guy.
He's a musician, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's in it for the music, which is kind of cool.
Exciting for Ed though, because he is Ed's favorite guitar player. So to be there and be in the song, pretty exciting.
Another song, Fun and Games, on the new one. Pretty political for you guys. Talking about how the war is basically an inside joke for the Republicans and that whole thing, or am I getting the wrong idea from it?
No, I think it was the question was, well, why did the U.S. or the U.S. government take the United States to war in Iraq? And that question is often been asked, and there's never really an answer that's been proven. And so I think it was Ed and Steve's idea to kind of say, well, maybe it was just a joke then. Is that why it happened? So
cool.
Yeah. See, I think it's a song about some of the just the brazenness and the disregard for the lives of their own citizens and the liberties of their own citizens that seemed so to us so offensively. Callous that it was almost as if it was a cruel joke.
Do you think the world would be a whole lot different if Al Gore was president?
Yeah, I don't think it would have stopped 9/11 from happening.
Really?
I don't think so. I think 9/11 was a product of all kinds of stuff before that, including the Clinton administration. But I think I would like to believe the U.S. would have dealt with it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think it would have been dealt in a different way. I think there's a lot of alienation going on.
Yeah. Ralph Nader was on Jon Stewart last night, and he was talking about how it's the family upbringing and how George W. is trying to prove it to his dad now because his dad couldn't do it back then, and it's a whole problem. And I'm hoping Al Gore runs this time. I mean, there's something in Rolling Stone about it and saying he'd make the best candidate. But then again, you look at Hillary, you look at Barack, maybe the other side of the world wouldn't hate us as much, if we had someone a little different in power.
Yeah. It's funny how we say
because it's basically they choose what we do anyway. It's not like Harper's doing his own thing.
Yeah, it's true. I just want whoever's going to win.
To win.
Yeah,
I just don't want them to win. I think one of the problems that the Democrats have is I don't want them to win by believing the more like a Republican they become, the better chance they have. I think that's a real disease in the Democratic Party in the U.S. and I hate to see that happen here in Canada too. It's for all of his flaws, it's nice to see somebody in Dion who sits a little bit on the left of where our previous prime minister or Liberal leader sat. So to move that way, I think is important to have that kind of discourse. Where I think that in the U.S. they really feel like the more like the Republicans the Democrats become, the better chance they have, which is very possible, but is it the right thing for the country? I think you need to be able to separate the ideals and make people choose.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you must be real happy now that the whole climate thing is actually an issue in the forefront of people's minds.
I don't want it to go away. I don't want it to be just a fad.
That's what I'm worried about too. Is that you have the movie that came out, the Al Gore movie, and it became this big thing, and now everyone's talking about it, and it seems to actually be changing. But do you think people will hook onto it, or do you think it's a fad?
I think what we're seeing right now is the backlash, which is good. I think it's good to have that. I think the more the people who are so-called skeptics about climate change will be proven more and more wrong. Because the thing is, I think those of us who understand the science of climate change versus those who have a different kind of agenda, I can't understand what kind of agenda we would have, and I think that's the Michael Crichton side of things.
You're not pleased with him, are you?
Well, no, and I mean there's a suggestion that those who are trying to stop global warming or think that we as humans have had a negative impact on our planet, that we may have some kind of alternate agenda, and I'm not sure what that agenda would be, apart from stewardship of our own planet and of our own species. I think it's part of whether you're a religious person or you just try and live a moral life, whatever else. I think it's part of being who you are. And I think that anybody who tries to stand in the way of that, it's unbelievable to me. Because even look at people who are fighting or believe in the war in Iraq. Those people, at the core of it, I want to believe that what they're trying to do is make the world a better place. I don't agree.
You would
with
hope
them.
so, yeah.
I would agree with them, but I think that the climate change deniers are not interested in that. They're not interested in trying to make the world a better place. They're interested in trying to make the world a more convenient place for the marketplace, and I don't think that's why we're here on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys drive hybrids? Do you plan on driving hybrids?
I have a hybrid.
Yeah.
I've had one for a few years. I like it. I try to drive as little as possible.
Yeah.
I live in Toronto, and
you don't
the streetcar
really need to.
and subway are right there, and I walk, take my bike.
You recognize when you're on your bike?
That's embarrassing because you got your helmet and your tights and stuff. Yeah, sometimes you do, but it's funny. Like I ride the streetcar and the subway and rarely get recognized.
Really?
Sometimes I do.
Yeah, I actually, my family and we've gone 2 years without a car. So
wow.
Yeah, we live in downtown Toronto, and everything is very close and convenient to walk to or ride our bike or take the transit. So it's an experiment, but it's working out really well.
Yeah, cool. You guys both Leafs fans? Is the whole band Leafs fans?
I think we're all Leafs affiliated. I'm not a big hockey follower.
Oh, okay.
I like a good hockey game.
Yeah, I enjoy going, but I'm mostly for the hot dogs.
Fair enough. Yeah, good call.
I like the jerseys.
Oh, yeah? All right. Another live record. Rock Spectacle? Was it French? Is that the right thing? Montreal recording? Yeah. Spectacle. Is there even a point of a live record anymore at this point? I mean, I know you guys are putting the shows out on USB and everything.
We do a live album every night.
Yeah.
The live record, we also did the live from the Glenn Gould Theatre version of Blam. And that, when those ones are mixed with a little more time and so on, they sometimes are a little more sonically satisfying. And a traditional live record is often made up of bits of different shows and edited together in a way like when Rock Spectacle came out, there were some fans who didn't like it because it didn't follow the flow of a concert. They were used to our set list. We tried to organize it, the way we organized it was we tried to make it flow like an album. And those two things flow very differently. But these live recordings we do every night are just the show, warts and all, which I think is... people love bootlegs. I love them as a music fan, and the fans like it. And we wanted to be able to get good ones that didn't always have the guy next to you singing into your tape recorder.
You guys a fan of the Brian Wilson cover of Brian Wilson that he does on his live record?
Yeah, it's great.
It's pretty it's pretty shocking almost to hear him sing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure for Steve, like, you wrote it when you were 18.
Really, that young?
Close, yeah.
One of the first ones?
Yeah, it was probably about 20 or 21, but still early.
How did you guys hear of it for the first time? Did he come and get your permission for it, or
he
like how does that work?
It for us. He had recorded it and came to the studio we were working at and played it for us.
Yeah, we were working with Don Was, and Don Was had just done a documentary of Brian Wilson, and so he invited him to the studio, and there he was, and played it for us in the studio, and asked us at the end, "Is it cool, guys? Is it cool?" Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, Brian. Everything you do is cool.
It's cool, Brian.
Can you notice that I don't want to say mental disability, but like, is he all there when you met him?
I think parts of him are all there, but no, in other ways, I think he's like a 5-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I've even spoken to his wife Melinda about that. I mean, she says it's like having another kid. I mean, he's not. He's an adult. Mm-hmm. Makes adult decisions and so on. But he, I think, I've seen him at work with his band, and he's very focused and really in charge. And sometimes it looks like when you watch him on stage, it looks like he's not. But backstage, he really is on top of it. But then, in the dressing room, it seems like kind of the world's going on around him.
Okay, interesting. I was interviewing Guster, I can't remember when, like 2 years ago. I said, Brian, pick any tune. And he chose Oh Yoko. And now you guys are covering. I thought that was pretty cool. What made you decide to do it? Yeah, interesting, eh?
People seem to really like that cover, by the way. I've got a lot of good feedback from fans.
Okay.
It just came out this week, I think.
Oh, did it? I downloaded it yesterday. Yeah, I just found out about it. And proceeds going to Amnesty International. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What made you choose that song out of all songs you could have done?
Well, it was supposed to be from John's solo canon. And, any of his solo songs they had us pick. And they showed us which ones were already taken by other artists. And, I've always loved that song. I just always, it's just, for me, it's joyful, and it's got that breezy popness that I've always aspired to write. It also has that piano line that Billy Bragg stole from him to put in, what is it? Is it Waiting for the Great Leap Forward?
Yeah, right.
And, because we already did Be My Yoko Ono, it seemed like the perfect kind of bookend.
Yeah, very nice. I like how you sing All You Need Is Love at the end. Kind of like they do in All You Need Is Love with She Loves You.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that why you did it?
That's why I did it.
Oh, cool.
And I whistled The Jealous Guy in the middle there.
Is that what that... I was trying to figure out. I was listening today. I was like, oh, that sounds like something. I couldn't figure out what it was. Jealous Guy. Nice. Has Yoko heard that? Is Yoko a fan of that song?
I think she had to approve it in order for it to be up on the part of the deal. So, yeah, apparently she...
In the Be My Yoko Ono tune? Yeah. I heard she's a fan, right? How can not be?
I think she's... she gets the joke. She's down with it.
Just cool. Joke. Speaking of jokes, I mean, and I hate to bring this up because it's such a typical question, but you sound a lot more serious lately. Not as jokey as you once were, and that kind of thing. Is that a conscious decision, or is that just how you're writing because you're older and you matured more?
I mean, there are jokey songs there too, but I like songs with jokes in them more than I like songs that are jokes.
Yeah, and I don't like listening to a song where I go, all right, I already know what this is about. The first two words, and then the rest of the song is just playing that out. I think when it comes in as a stream of consciousness in the song, it's just something that comes up. I always appreciate that. It lets me know that the songwriter is he's not too adamant. He's not driving me with an idea. He's human. Mm-hmm. Let his mind drift a little.
Oh, that's cool. Desperation Records, your label. Are the Creegan brothers going to be on it? Is your brother's band going to be on it, or how does it all work?
About it. Yeah, I don't know. I have to figure out what the kind of the financial logistics of that are.
Yeah.
Because if I do a solo record, I don't want to have to owe the band anything or have them owe me. I don't want to end up being in that kind of weird situation. But it'd be wonderful to be able to use the resources that Desperation Records has. And I talked to Terry about that a little bit, and he's all for it.
Who's Terry?
He's our manager.
Oh, okay.
Which basically means it's up to us. But he said, well, it's your label, which means if it's up to us and Network's working us, then all right.
So that, I'm kind of confused about that. Network's working you guys. You're still distribution through Warner. Yeah. What does having your own label do then?
Network Records is basically a company that we hire, or Network Management is the company that we as Desperation Records hire to run our day-to-day operations.
All right.
But Desperation Records is our company that owns the copyright and administers it.
Oh, so you keep all the publishing and all the money from that kind of stuff, and creative freedom, I guess, is all yours.
All the decisions are ours, yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And Network Management, we give our 15-20% to off of anything we make. So, and
they set up like the promo stuff and all that kind of good. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I remember reading something Ed said not too long ago about how at this day and age, you don't really even need CDs anymore. You can just, if you want, he's thinking is just releasing a song when you have it written and recorded, and just throwing it out there on the internet, because what's the point, right?
What I'd love to see is, like, every few months, put out 3 songs, and then at the end of the year, you got 12 songs. We can make a CD of that for people who don't download stuff online or aren't that religious about checking stuff. But for the diehards, they already have it. They don't have to buy both.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about downloading, like, at least the illegal stuff? I know you're obviously everyone's for the legal stuff, but I mean, are you out there at this point in your career just get the music out there, or?
Oh yeah, I think my sense is that P2P is the future. It's also the present, and as well as emailing and IMing and all, just like being able to share and trade music. And the sense that the industry has that we need to somehow change the audience's behavior is ludicrous and futile. Our job is to try and figure out how to get money from that. Imagine that cable TV existed, but there were no cable companies, and that there were no advertisers on the TV channels. People were just changing channels and watching whatever they wanted, and no one was getting paid for it. Well, they wouldn't just stop having that TV. They would just figure out how to pay people. And so whether that's the networks learning to get advertisers, and the networks that get watched the most get the most money for their advertisement.
Interesting.
The same thing we can do now. So people who download or get their tracks downloaded the most, so let's say it's Nelly Furtado or it's Coldplay or whatever else, get the biggest piece of the pie. And people who who get downloaded once get a sliver, but they get something. I think Hollywood doesn't like this because it means all of a sudden they have to start sharing their revenues with kids wiping out on skateboards and pornos and whatever else. But who's to say that's not legitimate media? It's all legitimate, and we're watching it, we're consuming it. So now we have to monetize it, and we can't punish the audience for that.
Mm-hmm.
We as a business have to figure out how to get money out of it.
And how do we do that? Any ideas?
Yeah, well, I know there are companies out there who track all this stuff.
Okay.
They make a living out of tracking what's being traded online, what's being watched on the YouTube type places. Well, and I think YouTube itself monitors what's being watched.
Yeah, you would think so. That's true.
So they could easily divvy up the money, the revenues, whatever advertising revenues they generate, to the copyright holders. But maybe you could have an umbrella organization who goes to all of those things, like an ASCAP, like a BMI, who goes to all of those different places, whether it's open P2P systems or closed ones, or it's you have a rating. They have the Nielsen system in the United States, where they call different families and say, "What are you watching on TV?" That you're part of the Nielsen family. You could be a Nielsen's rating family for media, whatever you're trading online. What are you listening to? What people send you? What are you sending people? And as long as you stop, you're anonymous in that situation anyways. So it's not like your name's being recorded. As long as people aren't afraid of being sued, they'll be happy to tell you what they're trading.
And give credit to the artists who they downloaded or they shared.
What people don't want to have to do is go, well, geez, I bought 100 records this month, so that means I have to pay $1,000. What they want to do is be able to say, well, I paid my $10 on my cable bill or on my internet bill or to my subscription service or whatever else, and I got 100 albums or I got 10 albums or I got 1 album.
So you're paying for access.
Yeah, do you think people are going to switch to that? Because right now it's free if you want it.
But for instance, internet access is not free.
No, that's true. So you add
TV
that into the cost.
Is not free. It's just part of the service, and people are happy to do those things as long as they don't have to transact individually. If they had to transact every time they change the channel on TV, they'd stop changing channels, and eventually they'd stop watching TV. But because it's transparent and it's invisible to them, they continue to do it. They're happy to pay the premium for more content too.
It's funny how
some choose that. Some choose a minimal package that doesn't allow them the same kind of content.
It's funny how the music industry is resisting moving into something like that, because it seems like it's the way you can make money off music.
It's the only way. It's the way we're going. Right?
But it democratizes it in a way that they're not comfortable, because it will reduce their share of the pie. Because more and more people in their basements, without the standard means of distribution, will have access to any audience they want, and the major labels don't want that. Mm-hmm. So they want to hang on as long as they can and restrict and control their audience. And they already know it, but they can't do anything about it. At this point, they're just going to keep fighting that battle until they've lost.
And the thing is that record companies now, they still have the old infrastructure that's needed. Mm-hmm. They still have marketing. They still have distribution of the hard copies, anyways, and they kind of have distribution of online digital music as well. Like, they still have valuable things that they can make money off. They just have to change their deals to reflect that.
Yeah, they need to start providing services to other copyright holders rather than collecting and protecting their own copyrights. I think that's where their downfall is going to be. because their attitude towards that is what is poisoning the water. But the services they provide, distribution, publicity, and so on, they do very well.
And they're starting to cut. They're starting to cut deals like that. Anyways, our deal with Warner's Canada, we have a distribution with some marketing in there. So it's we create a relationship with them, which is more transparent. We know what we're working with them. We know what they're doing for us, as opposed to the old version where you just sign on, you get this $1 from every CD, and everything else just goes into the record company, and they do something with it.
Yeah, who knows where it goes, right?
And you see it, some in some reflected in some marketing and things like that, but you really don't have a lot of control of what they do with the money.
So 10 years from now, yes or no, major labels going to be around?
I think they'll be around, but they'll be doing different things. They'll be more marketing,
the promotion kind of stuff.
Yeah,
they'll be managing artists. They'll be doing what network does, where they'll take a cut of everything the artist does rather than owning the whole thing. They might share it with the artist, but also get part of the concert revenue or the merchandise or whatever else.
I just remembered what Canada was getting sort of pressured or labeled as in the movie industry.
Oh, because of this
of the camcording. Or
it's all happening in Montreal. I was reading.
Well,
the hotbed of it is
not that bad.
It's really it's not that bad. They say Montreal, but Montreal, there's like half of the Hollywood stuff, half the stuff in the theaters is English and half is French, and so that cuts down the amount right there. It just sort of diminishes the amount that they said that Canada was responsible for this camcording, and it does seem like the U.S. is starting, and the lobby groups are really putting pressure on Canada to change their copyright rules, and it's funny to get that kind of pressure from the U.S. It's treating Canada like a rogue state.
And we can't listen to that. They're in the process of drafting new copyright legislation here in Canada, and my fear is that it's going to end up being even more draconian than the American copyright law.
Really?
Because of pressure from the U.S.
Is that, what was it, CCMA that you started, something like that?
CMCC.
CMCC.
Yeah.
Tell people what that is and what that's.
Canadian Music Creators Coalition.
Okay.
And essentially, it was an opportunity for us, as a bunch of artists, ourselves, Sarah McLachlan, Avril Lavigne, The Weaker Thans.
The Weaker Thans, nice.
Yeah. Andrew Cash, Broken Social Scene, Feist, Stars, lots of great bands across Canada, artists across Canada, have signed on basically to say, we don't agree with suing our fans. We don't need copyright legislation in this country that protects copyright holders in a sense that allows them to sue their fans for downloading their music or sharing it, that allows them to have legal protections against DRMs, which are these digital rights management technologies. Right now in Canada, if you're to circumvent those, in order, let's say you buy a copy-protected CD or you download a track from the iTunes Music Store that won't work on your Zune, right now it's legal for you to burn that to a CD and then re-import that.
It's such a hassle, though.
It's a hassle.
But
that stuff shouldn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to do it. New legislation could potentially disallow you from doing that. You download a song from the iTunes Music Store, burn it to a CD, re-import it into your Zune, and you could be either sued or taken to jail for that.
Fined and whatnot.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? Those people who are lobbying for that kind of stuff are not speaking on behalf of artists, because that's not in artists' best interest. Distancing ourselves from our own fans is the last thing any of us want to do. Yeah,
definitely. That's cool that you guys are for it. I'm real glad to hear that. Most musicians I've talked to have been for it, which is real nice.
I think at the beginning, my perspective has been changed. When it first started happening, I think we were like, hey, this is my livelihood. But then we started seeing how it really re-energized our fan base and things like that. I soon realized that it was very beneficial to us, and also just thinking about the business models that could happen in the future. It just seems very logical that it could be worked again to be a new music industry.
Yeah, definitely, and it gets it out there for the baby bands at least too that are.
Well, and the potential is in the future because this technology is so strong, and but it's a pain in the ass. Like frankly, downloading from LimeWire or any of the BitTorrent services, it's a pain. You never know what you're going to find, what
virus, whatnot. Yeah,
and how many peers you're going to find out there. Everything's unreliable. Some stuff takes forever to download. Where you go to iTunes Music Store and it's quick and it's there. Yeah. Well, I'd like to find that happy medium where sources are reliable, where the stuff is fast, and if we start charging for that and and allowing people access to sharing networks that are strong, reliable, fast, all those things, it's going to be the best of both worlds. And, we can't keep looking at music as a product. We used to talk about, downloading illegally like it was, shoplifting from a record store or from a clothing store. And, the more you treat music like a product, the more the audience treats it like that. And the more they treat it like that, the less passion they have for music. The more they treat it as a commodity, and the more they treat themselves as customers, disgruntled customers, which is very different from a music fan.
Yeah, especially, well, you think back to the 60s and what it was like, and everyone's jamming around at these festivals and trading records and all, and even mixtapes in the 80s and that kind of stuff. It's getting back to that, which I kind of like.
Well, all through the 70s and 80s, the big slogan of the RIAA was home taping is killing music. And as you can see, they were right. Music is dead. There is no more music.
There's no more music?
No, it's gone.
Okay. Yes or no, Apple going to run the world?
No, but I think they're going to have a huge influence, continue to have a huge influence.
Okay.
Yeah. They're great. I think
I like them.
Yeah. I like their products. I know lots of people who don't like them. I think their products are great.
Yeah. You running it? Do you all have? Everyone has Apples on the buses now. It seems. Yeah. Do you have Macs? All of you?
Yeah. In the music world and music industry, it's very.
Everyone has.
Makes everything simpler. It's a integrated operating system. Everything works together. Nothing's. So it works good for me because I don't like to think too much about integrating everything.
Yeah, you just want to use it.
I want to use it.
Yeah.
Get on with my life.
Cool. Let's get back to music. So I saw you guys at Buskers like way back when.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Buskers Festival?
Buskers Festival in Waterloo. One of my favorite nights of the summer.
That's where we met Tyler Stewart.
In Waterloo?
Yeah.
At that festival.
No way. Yeah. Let's hear the story.
We were at the busking festival. They blocked off 2 streets just for street performers to play on. Tyler was in a band called the Would Be Goods, and we were the Barenaked Ladies. It was Steve, Ed, and I. And we walked by the Would Be Goods concert, and he had these huge dreads. He was like, Barenaked Ladies, right on!
I'm like, wow, he knows who we are.
He knows who we are.
He must be cool.
Yeah. It's got him to play with us.
Well, then he chased us for about 6 months. Can I be in your band? We're like, no.
Well, you can just have this one.
Well, it's like, can I sit in with you guys? I don't really. Well, okay, next show.
Just play the snare.
Yeah.
Just bring a snare, and then every show he'd come back. Can I play with you guys again? And we say, well, yeah, okay, and he'd bring like the snare and a tom, and then
keep adding to a
snare
kit.
and a cymbal. Yeah, his drum kit slowly grew, and this is while Andy was away in Uruguay on Canada World Youth. So it's like he sort of moved into the open conga slot because we were only used to playing with congas.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then Andy came back and went, I guess all the drums are taken care of. Maybe I'll play piano.
Cool. And then Kevin would play. Now, was that a hard thing for Andy? I don't know if you guys are comfortable talking about it or not. But and if you're not, that's cool.
It's totally great. He was actually just jamming with us on this cruise that we did.
Oh, he came out with you guys?
January, yeah. And he, I think Andy he was the youngest guy in the band, and he came out right out of high school into the group, and I think he wanted to do some more experimenting on his own, and he had a desire to learn composition and how the composers pulled it off, how Brahms made the symphony sound that way, and he was just too curious, I think, and wanted to go that direction. So what he did was he got a degree in composition and orchestration at McGill University. And what's been interesting lately is that we've been doing concerts with the Toronto Symphony and with the Boston Pops, and Andy is our orchestrator. So
cool.
And it's been a really great thing because he knows us better than anybody, and we trust him, and he also knows the symphonic world better than anybody we know. So.
That's amazing. What do you think is one of the best songs that sounds really cool with the symphony behind it?
I have fond memories of another postcard with chimpanzees.
With a symphony.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, I like to sleep at the wheel. That was really
okay, cool. There's a Wallflowers tune called that, too. It's a really good song. Just wanted to go through a couple songs. Just give me a little snippet about it so that way I can, play it before we spin the tunes on your station kind of stuff. Alternative Girlfriend.
Alternative Girlfriend, written during the grunge era, so it was about... when everything was alternative, before things got extreme. I should write Extreme Girlfriend. But it had a nice double entendre to it. And then the video, because it was, she's alternative, but she's also my alternative to my other girlfriend. And then the video, I had another triple entendre where she was actually a man in drag.
Oh.
Very pretty. Very pretty. Oh, Billy.
Billy Beyond.
Billy Beyond. Jane.
Jane, written in the sessions before Maybe You Should Drive. I was writing with my friend Stephen Duffy, who's from England, and he was looking at a map of Toronto and saw the intersection of Jane and St. Clair and decided he said, this must be the most beautiful intersection in the world, which it isn't.
No, it's not.
It just sounds good.
It sounds gorgeous.
Especially with an English accent.
Yeah. Jane Sinclair.
Yeah.
And he had a crush on the girl at the health food store, so we just decided to call her Jane St. Clair and wrote the song about her.
Cool. Now, how come you guys aren't writing with Stephen anymore?
He's an asshole.
He's an asshole.
He started writing with Robbie Williams, the English superstar, and co-produced his whole last record and co-wrote the whole last record and became his band leader for the whole last tour. So that consumed the last 3 or 4 years of his life. But what it meant for Stephen was he actually made some money for the first time in his whole life, which has been great. So we've been busy doing our own thing, and we also decided in the band that the songs that the band performs come from within the band, which is why I did the Vanity Project record eventually. Okay. Because I had a bunch of songs I've been writing with Stephen that I knew the band wasn't going to use anymore, so it was my chance to get them out there.
Was it a one-off thing, or you going to do another one?
Well, you know what? I have a bunch of other bits and pieces of songs that I've done with Stephen, and maybe we'll do some more and finish it off. He'd like to do some more writing. I just have to find the time.
Fair enough. Pinch Me. I guess it's more of an Ed song. But...
Well, no, Ed and I wrote Pinch Me together.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much from the ground up. It was. I love that song. I love the lyrics. And the video was a lot of fun to do too. That was the first video that kind of came from us. I actually wrote the treatment for it, and I really liked that video. But the song,
that's my favorite video too.
Yeah,
Steve was like a kind of like a Pillsbury Doughboy kind of figure, like a hamburger icon.
Yeah, and
you actually had to stay very still and like heavily make-upped, and was this guy with presence in the video. And Ed got to do this great Busby Berkeley. Style dancing thing from an aerial shot in it.
My favorite shot is when he lies back on the whole sea of buns. That's great. You write this stuff down, and then all of a sudden it's in a video. It's like it's real. The song it's got this great melancholy to it. It's got the jokiness to it, of course, and it also has the rappy thing that we do. And that was the funny thing is that rap thing was actually came from my idea because I was joking. I was bugging Ed saying this part I wanted to be like shaka, I want to keep you warm, shaka. I was doing the Shaka Khan thing, and then we decided we actually would do a rap based kind of around that rhythm.
Cool. Old Apartment.
Started off as a ballad. Actually, I was trying thinking of Back to the Old House by the Smiths. It was kind of like a melancholy ballad, and then Ed said, why don't we do this as a rock song? We hadn't really done a straight ahead kind of rock song before.
And we decided to make it as, in a way, I sort of felt like I wanted to make it as much of a sort of a cartoonish version of a rock song, and make it all about the and nothing else, just focus it totally on that, and to make it completely the most we could make it. Because when we did Alternative Girlfriend, and that was during the grunge time, and we couldn't quite be it, so we had Rhodes piano in there, which sort of made it prettier than most grunge songs. So when it came to Old Apartment, I wanted
chorus guitar.
And chorus guitar, we just couldn't quite band that way. But Old Apartment, I wanted it to just be like, just all about the power chord.
Nice. Yeah. Too Little Too Late.
Yeah, it was again, kind of that rock and roll stomper. Although I think when Ed and I started writing it, it was more along the lines of like, what's the song I'm thinking about? It's an XTC song off None Such.
Generals?
Peter Pumpkinhead or something like that.
Oh, the Crash Test Dummies cover.
Yeah.
Well, they do it eventually. Yeah,
we were going to do. That's quite a bombastic rock thing on that record. Kind of that power pop kind of thing, and we ended up making it a little bit more American.
Oh, nice. It's All Been Done.
It's All Been Done was I remember being in a hotel room on the pirate ship tour, just trying to think about writing a song. I think I'd heard Brian Wilson on the radio and thought, God, what a wordy song. Can I write something a little more simple? I thought about those kind of simple, straight-ahead pop songs that I really like. And essentially stole a riff from It Falls Apart by the Odds, with their blessing. And
they were on the ship tour too, weren't they?
They were indeed. Yeah. And it turned out to be a lot of fun. Still a favorite.
Cool. Can I get you guys to do a couple... Oh, I want to talk about the box set. Tell people when that's coming out, what's going to be on it.
Well, hopefully the box set's coming out this Christmas, but we have a deadline of March 9th to confirm all the content. And the problem is, like, there's lots of stuff that's sitting around on DATs and cassettes and stuff, and I'd hate to miss out on stuff and not have it on the box set. So if we can get it all done by March 9th, we'll see. Then it'll be out by Christmas, and it'll be everything from, stuff from old demos. We've done demos all the way up to this record, so there's all that kind of stuff. Live stuff that's never shown up, B-sides, alternate versions of songs, that kind of thing. It'll be mostly the rarities type things.
I think you ought to go. Yeah.